Today we're talking about a sensitive subject, so before we get started, I'd like to remind viewers that these events took place 250 years ago. That's about 12 generations. You had a couple thousand great-grandfathers living on the planet at the time, believe it or not. Do you know who they all were, where they were from, or all the things they did? There's a good chance you had ancestors on multiple sides of the conflict, like myself and many others did. My point is, what's done is done and the past can't be changed. Decisions were made, and some of those decisions had consequences that still reverberate today, but no one living today is responsible for these events. So with this in mind, let's learn about America's allies and adversaries during the American Revolution. The American Revolution was a period of immense upheaval, especially for the indigenous peoples of North America. Native American nations faced enormous pressure, navigating treacherous political waters as war raged around them. The fight between Great Britain and its 13 colonies unfolded directly on their ancestral lands. Many native leaders understood that the outcome of this struggle would profoundly impact their future. This understanding forced them to consider difficult choices, to form alliances with one side or the other, or to attempt neutrality. Several influential Native American nations made the strategic decision to ally with the British Crown. Among the most prominent were key members of the powerful Haudenosaunee Confederacy, also known as the Iroquois or the Six Nations. Specifically, the Mohawk, Onondaga, Cayuga, and Seneca nations largely sided with the British. Further to the south, significant factions within the Cherokee Nation also chose to support the British Crown. Similarly, many towns within the Creek or Muskogee Confederacy joined the British cause. They hoped this alliance would help them stem the relentless tide of colonial expansion into their homelands. The motivations behind these alliances were deeply rooted in concerns about land and sovereignty. The relentless westward push of American settlers posed an undeniable existential threat to native territories. Many tribal leaders viewed the distant British government as a potentially more reliable power. They hoped the British could help check this uncontrolled expansion. The Royal Proclamation of 1763, issued by the British King George III, was a significant factor in their calculations. This proclamation had attempted to limit colonial settlement west of the Appalachian Mountains, and many tribes believed that a British victory in the war would uphold this proclamation and protect their homelands. Beyond land protection, long-standing economic ties and diplomatic relationships also played vital roles. Decades of established trade had created dependencies on British goods, essential for daily life and defense. Influential British agents, such as Sir William Johnson and his family, had cultivated strong personal alliances with numerous native leaders. These relationships were built on mutual respect, ceremonial gift-giving, formal councils, and promises of military and economic support. These interactions fostered a sense of loyalty and a belief that the Crown would honor its commitments to its indigenous allies. Native American alliances were part of a much larger and intricate tapestry of global power struggles. The decision to take sides in the American Revolution was rarely unanimous within Native American communities. More often, it led to painful and lasting internal divisions that weakened them from within. The Haudenosaunee Confederacy offers a poignant example of this tragic fracturing. While 4 of the 6 nations supported the British, the Oneida and many Tuscarora allied with the American colonists. This split shattered the centuries-old unity of their powerful league, turning brothers into wartime enemies. The Great Council Fire at Onondaga, the symbolic heart of their confederacy, was said to have been extinguished. These internal schisms and divided loyalties were not confined solely to the Haudenosaunee. Within the Cherokee Nation, leaders like Dragging Canoe advocated for war alongside the British to resist American encroachment. However, other Cherokee chiefs and towns favored neutrality or sought peace agreements with the Americans. Similarly, the Creek Confederacy experienced significant divisions. Upper Creek Indians were generally more pro-British, while some Lower Creek Indians leaned towards neutrality or tried to maintain ties with both sides. Such internal disagreements weakened these nations and made them more susceptible to the pressures and violence of the Revolutionary War. The American Revolution was linked to broader global conflicts and imperial rivalries between European powers. Great Britain, facing rebellion in its colonies, also fought against France and Spain, who allied with the American revolutionaries. This global war stretched British resources thin, requiring allocation across multiple continents. To bolster their forces, the British employed thousands of German auxiliary troops known as Hessians. They also hired large numbers of poor Scottish Highlanders. These soldiers fought alongside British regulars and became a significant component of the Crown's military presence. Beyond European soldiers, loyalists within the colonies provided manpower, intelligence, and resources for the British and their allies. Britain's other North American colonies, such as Quebec and Nova Scotia, remained loyal and served as staging grounds for British operations. These colonies also became refuges for thousands of loyalist civilians and soldiers during and after the war. Native American alliances were part of a larger global power struggle, influencing British strategy and the war's outcome. The complexities of choice and internal divisions had lasting impacts on Native American communities. The conclusion of the American Revolution with a decisive British defeat spelled disaster for their Native American allies. In the Treaty of Paris, signed in 1783, Great Britain ceded vast territories to the newly independent United States. The treaty made no provisions for the rights, sovereignty, or lands of the native nations who had sacrificed so much for the British cause. They found themselves abandoned by their former European allies, left to face the triumphant Americans alone. The consequences of this abandonment were immediate and severe. The United States government, viewing the tribes that had sided with Britain as conquered peoples, moved aggressively to claim their territories. Leaders like Joseph Brant of the Mohawk recognized the perilous situation and led many Haudenosaunee northward to Canada. There, the British Crown granted them new lands as partial compensation for their losses. The most notable of these grants was the Six Nations Reserve on the Grand River in Ontario. However, for many other Native groups, displacement meant extreme hardship and fragmentation of their communities. The post-war period saw relentless American expansion into Native territories, facilitated by treaties signed under duress or coercion. The Treaty of Fort Stanwix in 1784 and the treaties of Hopewell between 1785 and 1786 resulted in massive land cessions to the United States. Many communities continued to resist American encroachment through diplomacy, legal challenges, and further armed conflicts. They adapted to new realities, striving to preserve their cultures, languages, and identities. Their experiences during and after the American Revolution remain a critical chapter in the history of the United States and Canada. Their story is a powerful reminder of the complexities and consequences of the American Revolution and the deep human costs of nation building. Today, many Americans descend from both sides of the conflict and don't even know it. This intertwining of ancestries is a testament to the complex history that shaped our present. This is a common occurrence in many wars. The blending of cultures and bloodlines is an inevitable outcome of prolonged conflict and coexistence. Imagine looking back in time and seeing hundreds of your great-grandfathers battling each other to the death. Imagine watching them confiscate or destroy each other's property. Would they lay down their weapons if they could see that we are all family? It's important to remember that holding grudges only perpetuates division. By letting go of past animosities, we pave the way for reconciliation and a peaceful coexistence. We should focus on our shared heritage and on making progress. Real progress, not the kind that perpetuates hate and only destroys. People today should only be held accountable for what they themselves do, not what their ancestors did in the past. Understanding that we are all connected in this life on Earth fosters empathy and respect for others. America's rich tapestry of heritage is something to be celebrated and preserved. We owe it to our ancestors and to ourselves to ensure that their stories and sacrifices are not forgotten. As we reflect on the past, let us remember the sacrifices made by those who came before us. Their struggles and triumphs have paved the way for the freedoms we enjoy today. Let us honor their struggles by striving to ensure that future generations inherit a world where respect, understanding, and compassion prevail. This is our responsibility and our legacy. In the end, the true victory lies in our ability to learn from history and work together towards a future where all peoples can thrive in harmony. Hit the like button if you agree. Thank you for watching. Share your thoughts in the comments and remember, be kind.